Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are coming to you live here on Fox Sports from the heart of Kuala Lumpur, the capital city of Malaysia, for the ASEAN Basketball League. The tension is palpable. The fans are beginning to get excited on this serene and sunny afternoon in KL. We are coming to you from MABA Stadium to bring you an intriguing contest between the Westports Malaysia Dragons and the Chang Thailand Slammers. It's one victory apiece for these two teams. Last time out, the Slammers gaining victory in KL, with the Dragons, of course, winning in Bangkok. You are joined here today by my co-commentator Daniel Smurthwaite and myself, Andrew Whitelaw. Now, Dan, what a game today. It's going to be very, very hotly contested with these two, one apiece. How do you see this one going?
Well, to be honest, Andy, I think it can go any way. I mean, like you said, we've seen these teams play twice now in the league so far. In the first game, the Dragons took it by 8 points, and the second game, the Slammers took it by 12 points. Both comfortable wins and away wins. Coach Ariel said himself that that defeat here in the MABA Stadium was humiliating. So you can imagine they want to prove to the players tonight and the opposition that they are the better team using the home court advantage.
Well, one man who doesn't have much to prove is Chris Charles of the Slammers. 29 points, 27 rebounds. Those are astronomical statistics by anyone's standards. Now, how are the Dragons going to stop him?
Well, yeah, absolutely staggering figures by the center. A dominating 7'1". The pressure's going to be on Edwards tonight at 6'8". He didn't have a great performance against Chris Charles last time, but Coach Ariel has personally called him out and said, hey, it's time for you to step up, show the fans that you are the center of the KL Dragons and worth being the center.
Well, the Dragons have some secret weapons of themselves. Now, what about these imports and the huge impact they had against the San Miguel Beermen? If we take a look, Sammy Monroe, what a game he had. His numbers were massive. 28-year-old small forward. Here's a little glimpse of what he can do. Possession for the Beermen. The Dragons take it up. Samuel Monroe with the slam. And he combined very well indeed with his teammate Justin Melton. Dan, you're a huge fan of this guy.
Yeah, I really like the way this guy plays. He's such a triple threat, and that means he can take the outside shot. He's a good passer, and he can drive through the lane. I mean, look here right now. Here he is. Yeah, good the pass over to Melton, who's coming up on the side. Such good, great speed. Up with the vertical leap. I wouldn't be surprised if he has about 40-inch vertical leap. Such a powerful player.
Yes, that guy can jump. Now, Ariel Vanguardia, the coach of the Dragons, will be pleased with the improved statistics. Of course, we know how good the field goal percentage is for the Dragons. Now, he'll be worried about turnovers and rebounds, the prolonged weaknesses of the Dragons. How do you see that going?
Well, they really showed themselves in the last game. They shut down the turnovers. They had better rebounds. It's just about having the heart and really the motivation to play hard, because if the Dragons win tonight, that's going to be huge for them in the standings, that we're going to see later on.
Okay, so many talking points, so many exciting aspects of this game. Let's throw to Lenora, who is courtside with a very special guest.
Thank you very much, guys. Now with me is the CEO of the ABL, Anthony Macri. How are you doing?
Doing very well today. Thank you.
And I understand we are actually having the national anthem being played at the moment, but I need to ask you, how's the environment before the national anthem and after the national anthem?
Yeah, I think that, obviously this is my first time in MABA Stadium this year. I love what they do here in terms of fan engagement. It's a really great thing that they do for the fans of Malaysia Dragons, and I'm looking forward to a great game.
Awesome. And there is something called the ABL's Hoops Festival. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So we're trying to create it as a celebration of both what we've accomplished so far in ASEAN in terms of basketball and the potential for basketball going in the future. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix of competition with sports entertainment. We're going to have some musical guests. We're going to have some celebrities. It's going to be a great experience, and we're going to really announce a lot of the details this coming week. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Stay tuned for that. And we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. This is the ABL Season 4 on Fox Sports.
And we are back here live from MABA Stadium on Fox Sports. The teams are beginning to get ready for tip-off. Of course, Coach Jellybean Ryan of the Chang Thailand Slammers is renowned for his man management skills. They're a team who have real unity and a great attitude. Last time we saw these two teams play, arguably it was the strength and mentality of the Slammers. But let's have a look at the starting five. The Dragons, with those two new imports, Melton and Sammy Monroe starting. How do you see it going with the starting five, Dan?
Well, as expected, Gavin Edwards was chosen to be a center. Monroe, such an attacking threat. Good to see him up there. I think it's going to be a strong starting five and a good choice by Ariel.
Ariel talking tactics with his team. We look at the starting five of the Chang Thailand Slammers. Of course, that man, Chris Charles, we spoke about, going to be so important today. But what about Frolian Baguillon? He had such a monumental game last time out. His stats were very impressive. If they do double up on Chris Charles, surely that's just going to open up the lane for Baguillon to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last game against the Dragons, he had fantastic figures at 23 points, 7 assists, and even 8 rebounds. The guy at 5'7". So you can't really put all your attention on Chris Charles because, like you said, Baguillon's out there, and he's really going to be another attacking threat. Maybe even do a repeat performance if the Dragons don't let him.
Yes, indeed. Now, I know that the Slammers are a little disappointed to be missing Chonachan Kwahan, who's a great defender for them. Same story with Aparon Vilaichai, who gets some good minutes. You know, he certainly plays his part. Congratulations to him. He's actually getting married today, so that explains his absence. But they do have some new players on the bench. Starting five will be some familiar faces, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think here we have the tip-off right now, and Thailand Slammers he's already charging on the court, and we've already got our first foul by Melton. That's not too good to have such early in the game, but I think everyone's nerves are a bit up there. I mean, this is a very important game for both teams. So
it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you think the Slammers, who played so well last time out at MABA, in a way don't know what to expect here, because they would have seen that performance from the Dragons against the Beermen. The Beermen, of course, highly fancied to potentially take the title, but the Dragons actually look quite convincing, and the areas of their game that have looked weak of late were much improved.
Yeah, I mean, they've really improved since the beginning of the season. I mean, they went on a 2-game winning streak and then 4 losses, but they picked it up in the last game. And I think the Thailand Slammers have to be wary about the momentum that the Dragons might pick up if they win today's game.
Solid shooting from the line from Sektira. He's been missing for the last 2 games, so the Slammers will welcome him back with open arms. Of course, 100% from the line today as Edwards throws up an air ball. Baguillon setting the pace. What a playmaker he is. He's got to be one of the most creative players in the league.
Yeah, Monroe with the rebound. I mean, you can really rely on him as being a forward as well. I mean, in the last game, he picked up 7 rebounds, so he's not just a shooter, but great with the inside pass, and looks like a shooting foul on Earl.
Yeah, I mean, great point, Dan. He's such a good all-round player. Let's look at this replay. Not just a shooter, not just a rebounder, but that's a smart pass inside to Edwards, drawing the shooting foul. He could be pivotal today, Edwards. He quietly gets those numbers, so often in double figures. He's a quiet player, but at almost 7 foot, he can be highly influential for this Dragons team.
Well, if Edward really wants to perform tonight, he's going to have to pick up his field goal percentage, because right now he's only about 45%, and the Thailand Slammers are going to take advantage of this. If they keep fouling him at the line, don't let him get him with the 2 shots, then they're going to keep fouling him. And here we've already seen him miss 2 shots. So again, pressure on Edwards to really pick it up and start shooting these free throws.
Yeah, the pressure is on, because this Slammers team, one thing I really admire about them is their energy. They're quite young, and if you listen to Coach Brian, what he's trying to do is promote local Thai basketball. He is not afraid to give his local players minutes on the court. And what you see is the experience of Baguillon, who's on the ball right now. He leads them. He dictates the pace and the tempo of their plays. They've got the height of Chris Charles, and in and around them the likes of Sektira and Tongsri. Sektira on the ball just there with the shot. They can weigh in with points.
Yeah, I mean, giving the time to the local players is so important for long term as well. A beautiful shot by Melton right there. And because these are guys who are going to stay in the long term. You have the international guys that come in, you know, every season or two. But giving the opportunity for local guys like Baguion to play in the long term will be so important for the long-term success of any of these teams.
True that. Now Lo Shi Fai with it. The quick pass to Edwards puts up the easy 2. What we're seeing is Justin Melton matching up against his opposite number, but twice now we've seen that screen, first put up by Charles, then by Michael Earl to create that space, because Baguion can drive it like no other.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Oh, just a great block there by Edwards, and here we have Melton on the transition, so quick, through the legs, beautiful play right there. Monroe coming in. Chris Charles with the rebound, passes out again. And Baguion taking up court. They're closing him down. Baguion giving him a double team, but he finds it out to Chris Charles.
Kong Kum. Rebounded by Samuel Monroe, linking with Justin Melton. We're going to see that all afternoon, folks. These two haven't played together before. You'd be surprised. Lo Shi Fai with the 3. Edwards needs to be better than that on those boards.
Yeah, I mean, that just really shows that Edwards got to put in more effort into his offensive rebounds because he was matched up against Baguion there. And although it was a lucky drop, Edwards really should have had the rebound on that one.
Look at the replay. Michael Earl charging into Moala Tautua. Tautua's feet were firmly planted there.
Yeah, great defense. I mean, such disciplined defense to have. I mean, the offensive, taking the offensive foul is really hard to do, but Tautua did a great job of keeping his feet down. And
that's great to see from Moala, because discipline and Moala Tautua are not two things that often go hand in hand, but Lo Shi Fai draining the 3, solidifying his spot in the starting 5. Now he can really get hot when it comes to shooting for the Dragons.
Yeah, we hope to see a standout performance from him tonight. I mean, he didn't have a great game against the Slammers last time with only 2 points, but already dropping the 3 is a great start for Lo Shi Fai.
Now with the break, Samuel Monroe, Lo Shi Fai with the easy lay-in.
That's great transitional play right there. Cross-court passing, easy 1-2, and a lovely finish by Lo Shi Fai.
Dragons looking confident, Daniel. It's different to what we saw. 4 defeats on the bounce, started to make the heads drop, and you know Ariel Vanguardia was not happy with them. They, of course, lost that game in Singapore by 1 point, with Moala Tautua having the opportunity for the slam in the dying seconds of the game. I know that Coach showed them the video of that game on the bus home, and that had a profound effect on the players. We saw a huge response from the boys against the Beermen, but the Slammers will want the victory today, propping up the table. They've got a point to prove. They've got the talent to cause an upset to the home fans.
Well, they started off so well, Andy. I mean, the score's already, 9 points to 2 and halfway through the first quarter. That's really impressive by the Dragons. They're really sending a message out to the Slammers that, hey, we're not the team that we were with the 4-game loss, and we're not the team that played against the Singapore Slingers, because here they've got the discipline, and I'm very impressed by their defense so far, and you can even see Monroe helping out Edwards as well with the defense, and that's just so important to close Chris Charles down, because you have to stop him from scoring. 29 points is just too much for a center to get.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
Oh, delightful skill from Monroe. Doesn't nail the 2 though. Back out to Melton. Melton with the 3. Oh, air ball.
Not a great finish on that play right there, but you got to give credit to Monroe's crossover. I mean, that was great. I mean, people don't understand how hard it is to do that, especially in the paint, with a quick 1-2 step, cross it over, and then the shot. Such a powerful entry to the basket. Fortunately, he couldn't pick up the 2 points. Edwards with the interception. Going straight to the basket, lays it in. Beautiful play. Coast to coast.
Very nice indeed. He's so understated about the way he goes about his business, Edwards, but he gets the job done. He's not flashy. You know Moala would have slammed that every day of the week, but Edwards happy to take the easy too. I think it's smarter basketball from the Dragons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he could have really had a flashy ending, finish with that play, but he went with the disciplined play and put it in with a finger roll, and that was lovely.
We're going to go for a quick commercial break, but don't go away because there'll be more Slammers Dragons after this. Welcome back to MABA Stadium. The score is 11-3 to the Westports Malaysia Dragons against the visiting Chang Thailand Slammers. It's been a fast-paced opening quarter with the home side taking a reasonably comfortable lead, Dan. They look to have a renewed sense of confidence about them.
Yeah, and it's also about their defensive play. I mean, holding a team down to 3 points in the first quarter, I mean, well past the halfway point, is just fantastic, especially for the Dragons, who've always had a bit of a problem with their defensive rebounds and the defense. But tonight, so far, they're really showing what they're made of.
Yes, they are early in the ball game, though it is. Samuel Monroe has it. He is matched up by Danai Konkung, but now Sektira takes care of Justin Melton, slips. Good movement in the lane from Melton, but it's with Monroe. We're seeing quicker ball movement from the Dragons than we have in previous games. They concede possession on that play.
As we can see here, Charles and Earl are coming up for the high post. Dishes off back to Earl. Gives Bagger the open shot, but gets fouled by Sammy. So it looks like it'll just be an inbound pass. Bagyeon did not get the shot off. Dishes it off to Earl. And still Slammer's ball.
It will be Danai Konkung who goes to the line. The crowd doing their best to put him off, but no luck. Keeping a cool head, Konkung. Promising Thai player. This guy can shoot. Easy does it from the line. 11-5 Dragons. Munro drives in. Slippery hands from Moala Tautua.
Now, that was a good look by Sammy. Unfortunately, it just slipped out of his hands. But if Tautua would have caught that, that would have been an easy 2 points for the Dragons. Great vision.
Coach Jellybean Brian barking out instructions from the sidelines. Froleon Baguillon inside to Gogar. He'll have it back from outside. Great technique, wasn't it?
Fantastic shot. I mean, so hard to do when you got a hand in your face, but with his leap right there, he managed to jump high enough, get the shot off, and shoot the 3.
Patrick Kabahog with the fadeaway. Samuel Munro will retain possession for the home team. What a matchup that is. Baguillon against Munro. Munro drains the 3.
Great defense by Edwards. Great block. Fortunately, ball has gone out, and it will be the Slammers' ball. So great rejection. That's what they want to see from Edwards. He's a good blocker.
It's interesting, isn't it, from Edwards? We spoke about it a little bit earlier, how he's so quiet about how he goes about his business, but some of his rejections and interceptions have such authority. They almost speak for themselves. He doesn't need to say anything. He says, bam, this is my house.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta really give credit to Edwards because his style is very different to everyone else. I mean, for basketball, that's such a fast-paced game. You gotta be on your tiptoes, and there's also so much verbal communication. But he's a quiet fellow, but he gets the job done. And as we spoke before, you don't really realize it, but when you look at the stats at the end of the game, he's such a great performer. And tonight, he's really coming out of his shell, and he's really showing what he's made of already with few blocks and great defense as well. And what a beautiful shot there by Munro.
Yeah, draining with authority, Samuel Munro. He's so comfortable from three-point land, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, in his last game, well, in his debut game, he
should 60%.
60%, 6 points, 6 3-points out of 10. I mean, those are great numbers for someone who's just come into the league and have that confidence to shoot the 3. And his first basket against the Beermen in his debut was actually a 3-pointer. So he's very comfortable with that shot, and the Slammers should be worried about that.
Here's Bansin Oi to Munro. Munro gets the push. He was about to lay it in.
Oh, fantastic drive to the rim right there. Got the foul as well, so he's going to get the and-1.
You notice both coaches have given a rest to their starting point guards. Number 7, Kanawat Lauku, came in for Froleon Baguillon to give him a bit of a rest. 32 years old, he wants to use him at the appropriate times. Similarly, Justin Melton will get a breather, while Bansin Oi, who's got plenty of experience, national team player, he can dictate the pace of the game. Doesn't score as many as Justin, but he can be influential when he wants to be. Opening up a bit of a lead now, the Dragons, 20-8 against the visitors. I know the coach wants to make a statement today, because if they lose this game, they'll be bottom of the table, but if they were to win, that's third place down.
Yeah, and that's so important for the playoffs later on this season. I mean, you want to ride on this momentum they have. I mean, we are looking at a different Dragons team, and so far they've been really outperforming the Slammers.
That was a cheeky 2 from Moala Tautua. You gotta love that one. Chris Charles creating the space from outside. Now that was a very nice 3 indeed. Kanawat Lauku, the replacement point guard. He's a fresh face for the Slammers team.
Yeah, such a smooth shot right there. I mean, he doesn't stand very tall, maybe about 5'7", and to get a shot like that, you have to have a lot of arc on it, and it was a silky smooth shot.
Beautiful disguise on the pass from Samuel Munro there. Moala just got crowded out. Samuel Monroe just having a breather. Kupaswamy, Saya Seelan, bags of experience, comes in for the Dragons. Meanwhile, Wirpong Dawson from the line. Dawson's a key player for this Slammers team. He can usually hit double figures.
Yeah, well, his points per average, it's about 10 points per game. And against the Dragons last time, he did get 6 points and 2 rebounds. So he is an effective player. If he comes out tonight with his 3 points as well, I mean, currently he's at 31%. But if he can drop a few threes tonight, that will really boost the Slammers' chances. We have some experience on the court with Seelan. Fortunately, he stepped out of play. And it's going to go back to the Slammers' ball.
Jellybean Bryant gathering the troops, just collecting his players, offering some words of encouragement for the boys. What have you made of the Slammers so far, Dan?
Well, to be honest, I really thought they would come up a little bit stronger. They're struggling to get points on the board. They only have 13 so far. They've got to give the ball to Chris Charles more often. I mean, the Dragons did a good job closing him down, and they haven't done enough to close him out just yet.
I mean, we spoke about Charles's 29 points and 27 rebounds back in MABA, but he also scored 27 points in the previous game against the Indonesia Warriors. It's like every time he takes the court, he punishes the opposition.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. And tonight, maybe we'll see in the second or third, fourth quarter. But right now, he's not bringing the stuff. And Coach Brian is really going to want him to stand out and get a few more baskets.
Do you think that's Charles not asserting himself enough, or would you say that's credit to the Dragons on their D?
I'll have to give it to the Dragons on this one. So far, they've really been pressuring him a lot. Edwards is playing a lot better than he did last time, and I know that he was ill, actually, when he played against the Slammers in the game that they lost, but now he's fresh, he's ready to go, and he's already just there with the interception, and now we have the Dragons with Patrick pulling the three. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it that time, but what a great three-point shooter Patrick is.
Yeah, when he's hot, he's on fire. Good thing he plays for the Dragons. Similarly, we've seen him have some cold afternoons despite living so near to the equator as we do. He just needs to get in the zone.
Against the Slammers last time, he did have a decent performance. Actually, he had one of the best performances in terms of the rest of the team with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals.
At the buzzer, the man himself with the Hollywood shot, Dan. Doesn't quite drain it.
Yeah, unfortunately didn't get it that time. But like you said, Andy, sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's cold. And hopefully we'll see those baskets go in for the Dragons fans because he's more than capable of doing it.
Well, we're going to be right back here at MABA after a very quick commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from MABA Stadium right here on Fox Sports. I'm Andy White. We're here with my co-commentator, Daniel Smurthmate. The Malaysia Westports Malaysia Dragons are 22-13 against the Chang Thailand Slammers. It's been an interesting first quarter, Dan. How have you seen it?
Well, you gotta give credit to Monroe, who's doing another standout performance in the first quarter already. He's got 9 points and doing a fantastic job. I mean, he's an absolute scoring machine, and you can only imagine he's going to put up more points as the quarter goes on.
Let's go, Dragons! Let's go! Let's go, Dragons! Let's go!
Ironically enough, the Dragons have 10 points from turnovers, and that was such an issue for them at the start of the season. Kept on conceding possession, but today 10-3 points from turnovers for the home team. Ariel Bengadia will be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. That was their main concern beforehand. Giving away too many turnovers, but forcing it is what you want to do, and that means great defensive work, closing out the opposition, not letting them get the pass in or the shots off, and closing them down before.
Well, we've got Lenora courtside with a bit of info. Lynn.
Yeah, but so I was talking to assistant coach for the Chang Thailand Slammers, PJ, and he said they need to work on their defense. They aren't exactly executing their plays right, so they need to work on that. And in terms of fouls, 33, Mo Tatua and also Michael O, 45, they each have 2 fouls. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lynn. That's useful information. Muala Tautua, we've spoken about him. He's such an exuberant, energetic guy. I'm a fan, personally. What do you make of him, Dan? Because earlier we were crediting his discipline, and that will come with experience. He's 24 years old. He's had his ups and downs this season, but his energy can really spur this team on, but sometimes it's his downfall. 2 fouls. He just needs to watch himself a little bit.
Well, in terms of his performance tonight, he has been doing well. I mean, usually he gets about 4 rebounds a game, and already tonight he's got 3 rebounds. So he's putting a lot of pressure on the boards. He's boxing out. He's getting those strong rebounds because they really need him to perform. Beautiful shot by Edwards there. Challenges the defender right to the rim and gets the 2.
Rolion Bagyon back in for the Chang Thailand Slammers. Kanat Samaijai got some minutes on the court there. He looked promising, energetic, if not a little raw. 24 years old. He's another fresh face in the Slammers team, along, of course, with Kanawat Lautuk. Oh, sinks it. Very nice from Quet. The score, 27-15 to the home side. They have been hot from three-point land today, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I want to point out is now they've got Guga and they've got Monroe on the court right now. These are 2 of the point guards that Ariel would like to. Whoa, what a rejection there by the Dragons. Oh, but unfortunately it's called a foul for the Dragons. That would have been an absolute momentum driver for the home team.
Well, I think I just saw Coach Ariel Bengadia literally jump out of his skin. He leapt 1 foot in the air. He could probably pull off a dunk or 2 himself with jumps like that. He's always animated on the touchline. That's half the entertainment for me sometimes.
Yeah, it was such a character. He gets so involved in the game, and just like there, you saw him like leap into the air because everyone got off their seat on that play, but it didn't go the Dragons' way, and now the Slammers have the 2 free throws.
Woodapong Dawson from the line. Slammers trying to claw their way back into this game. Dawson with a cool head.
Andy, I really got to point out that if you look at Charles' numbers so far, he doesn't have a basket yet, and he's got 0 for 2, and that just shows how much of a great performance the Dragons are doing so far, closing him down.
Meanwhile, Kwek with the long 2. He's made an impact since his arrival in this basketball game. He looks fired up for this one, maybe trying to make a statement to coach saying, give me some more minutes on the court.
Well, shots like that will definitely give him those kind of minutes. He's good defensive as well. He keeps penetrating to the rim and gets those shots around the elbows of the paint, then he should have no problems getting more minutes because he's a good local talent. We want to see more of that as well. And of course, it's for the long term. It's always great for these teams.
Dragons can break. Creativity on the pass to Melton and the slam. Moala Tautua loves a jam, stuffing it deep down in the jam jar.
I mean, that was a beautiful move straight from the start. What a fantastic pass by Monroe. Gives it to Melton. Not enough English on the spin with on the backboard, but great finish by Tautua. Slams it down. He loves to do that, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Guga throws it up, the give and go. For a moment, Dan, I thought we were going to see a repeat of that alley-oop play, but point guard to point guard. Great stuff.
Yeah, that would have really been the first, and what a sensational play that would have been. But I wasn't even sure if they were going to go with just for the alley-oop layup or the alley-oop dunk, because Melton can really get up there and slam it down.
We've seen the levitation from Justin Melton once or twice in the previous game. I mean, 5'10", and this guy can dunk.
Yeah, I saw him doing some windmills in practice earlier. I'd love to see him in a dunk contest one day, Andy.
Well, you might just see it, Dan. There's an event coming up in Saigon in the coming weeks that we will hear about very shortly. But certainly, he's somebody I would love to see involved.
And people love it when they're seeing a sub 6-footer in a dunk contest. I mean, in the NBA itself, we see lots of players like Spud Webb and a lot of the other under 6-footers, and they always pull up with some fantastic dunks. Nate Robinson, another one, he won it 3 times in a row. So we'd love to see if Melton get involved in that, because that always brings the crowd up.
Chris Charles, some points on the board. Charles so effective against the Indonesia Warriors. Not only did he score those 27 points, but 12 rebounds. Always so reliable on those offensive boards, isn't he? But the Dragons seem to have his number thus far.
Yeah, that's true, Andy. They're doing a great job, and those were his first points of the night, and we're in the second quarter. So they're really doing a number on Charles.
Monroe shows the Dragons the way to go. 3 points. Delightful stuff from Sammy.
Yeah, another great 3-pointer from Sammy. You can really trust him with the ball. Another player that has a triple threat, does the step back right there and drains another 3.
Double trouble. Hello. Just replicates it.
Charles with the defensive foul. And that was a lovely 2-shot earlier by the Slammers that puts them up to 21 points.
Fernandez can shoot. That's why they brought him in. They were struggling a little bit from the field. Fernandez, a specialist when it comes to 3-point land and those long 2s, as he showed. But they need to get him in space, create those openings, and that's where Froilion Baguillon, who they nickname in training Freudini, because he can get in and out of tight spaces so easily, so frequently. But they need to open up the likes of Fernandez, hit those open shots, because at the moment, the Dragons really starting to open up a healthy lead against the visitors.
Yeah, they're going to have to find the open spaces for the Slammers because they're trailing behind right now. It's coming out to a 17-point deficit. They got to get back into the game and really close down the gap before the end of the half. And you can sense the urgency now by the Slammers who are trying to get off the ball up court. But what a fantastic job by the Dragons who are doing a full court press. Now we have them in the transition play. Monroe passing it off to Guga. Goes in, out to Monroe again, slows it down, doesn't go for the three this time. You wouldn't be surprised if he did because he's absolutely on fire so far.
And does.
A spectacular play by Monroe. Beautiful spin move with the wraparound and the three-pointer.
5 out of 7 threes for Samuel Monroe today. He is heating up, Dan.
And you just want him to keep scoring and scoring because that's really what he does best. Such a attacking threat for the Dragons.
Dragons have transformed themselves because their D is better than I've seen it all season, but unfortunately for the Slammers, Coach Bryant will be disappointed that they are just 21% from the field, and that's not good enough. We're going to get back to more of the action of the Westports Malaysia Dragons versus the Chang Thailand Slammers right here on Fox Sports after this quick commercial break. And we're back right here at MABA Stadium, joined by a very special guest, Mr. Anthony Macri, the CEO of the ABL. Anthony, welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you very much for having me today.
So during the timeout there, we heard Coach Jellybean Bryant saying, I would rather you take the shot than concede a sloppy turnover, and that's been a feature of this game so far.
I think the most important thing we've seen so far in this game is the commitment on the defensive end from the Malaysia Dragons. This has been the most committed they've been to being aggressive and physical on the defensive end, and it's made a huge difference. Obviously, you can see it in the score, but it also, just the way they're pushing guys around. They're not taking no for an answer. Christian Charles hasn't been able to get on track, and it just makes a big difference for them if they're going to play this way.
Yeah, it's translated throughout the whole team. It's not just tactically. We're seeing it. There's an atmosphere around the team. No matter who's on court, whether some of the players who tend to get less minutes, there's just a newfound confidence. And would you say that's brought about by the two new guys?
Well, I think that, anytime you have change, that can shake things up, and it can make things better or it can make things worse. And it looks like, at least, from their last game against the Beermen and this first half, it's still early, but from this first half, that it's been a positive change thus far for the Dragons. But there's a long way to go in this game, and the season is never won in just 1 or 2 games in the middle of February. We got a long way to go till we get till May and June when the championship is decided.
Yes, indeed. So are you happy with what you've seen by far? Because in my opinion, the standard just keeps getting better and better.
You mean in terms of the quality of the game? I definitely think that our teams are all getting a better understanding year on year of what kind of players will help them be more competitive in terms of their imports. And I also think that we're seeing a huge improvement in the play of locals on all of our squads. And, you know, that comes from, you know, people always ask, you know, why do you have so many imports and it doesn't give a chance to the locals? In reality, I think it helps the locals. They're playing with better players on a regular basis. That's going to improve their quality of play. When you play with better players, you end up being better. And I think that we're seeing that come to fruition. If you look between, you know, season 1 to now, there is a huge difference.
Well, I have to agree with you. If you look at the likes of Kwek and Lo Shifai on court today, I mean, Shifai can shoot, and when he's on fire, I mean, it translates from the other players. When the team's hot, he's hot. We see him on the ball now, put it up, misses that one. Edwards on it, but similarly with Kwek, he's taken 2 shots today, drained his 3, drained a long 2, and the confidence of the locals has been vastly improved.
Yeah, it's impressive there. You know, you get you know, Sammy Monroe going right to the rim, and he's just able to finish. I mean, they're having their way with this Thailand team right now. But I think you're right. The most impressive thing maybe for to see it from terms of an evolution, as Christian Charles tries to go to work, but just getting physically handled. But in terms of an evolution for the league, if you watch season 1 film now, the imports would tend to pass the ball to one another. But now you're starting to see the imports trusting the locals and willing to involve them on a regular basis in offensive sets. And beyond that, in some cases, the locals becoming featured parts of offenses. And so, yeah, I definitely think there's been an improvement. I think that'll continue over the next few years.
Similarly, we've seen when teams are over-reliant on their imports, it can have a detrimental effect on the whole team. I mean, we know the star man is Chris Charles today, but being kept quiet, and you say if you're Jellybean Bryant, you're going to ask everybody else needs to fill in, step up with those points, because if the big man's not going to do it, people need to step up.
Well, you know, they're collapsing right now on Christian Charles. They're making it impossible for him to breathe, basically anywhere inside the paint. You know, I just looking out on the court right now, and I know they're going through a replay here, but if you just look at the way the guys are holding themselves on the free throw line, Christian Charles, we're 2 minutes and 27 seconds away from the half, and Christian Charles is tired. And you can see him just, you know, bent over, holding his shorts. He's exhausted, and what's going to need to happen for the Slammers to be successful is he has to be able to, they have to be able to find other guys on the perimeter, and that's got to happen on a regular basis.
Yes, sir. Michael Earl from the line. It's a healthy lead, though, for the Dragons. It's going to take something special for the Slammers to get back into this. Now, someone special is Froilion Baguillon. We know that he can open the lock, but there's just no space in the lane for him.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. They've done a really good job of. What a pass! I mean, so you can see the effect that the way the Dragons are playing defensively is having even on Chris Charles' offense or on the other side of the floor. He's not really finding any kind of flow on the offensive side, and that's making it tough for him to assert himself on the defensive side. So like you said, they're really packing the lane. They're making it very hard for the Slammers to operate in the lane, and without hitting outside jumpers, they're just going to have a very tough time competing in this game.
It's nice to see Edwards with the slam there. Daniel, you're a huge fan of your dunks. Tell us a little bit more about this event in Saigon, because the dunk competition, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. What we're trying to do with the ABL Hoops Festival is to bring together you know, a celebration of basketball within the region. We want to showcase what our league is all about and what the talent that we have in our league. And we're going to combine it with a little bit of musical entertainment as well. And so it'll be a slam dunk contest. There'll be a 3-point shootout. We're going to have a live concert going on in between the different rounds of competition. And I think that we're going to see the fans in Saigon really get supportive behind it. And we're looking forward to it.
Great stuff. I can't wait. How are they going to select who steps up for the dunk contest?
In terms of actually making selections, we always want to pass the buck to our teams and let them make their decisions. So the teams will each have their own kind of mini nomination process, however they want to do it. Maybe they do a little team competition. We're going to try and have one competitor from each team in both the slam dunk and the 3-point shootout, and go from there. We'll see how it works out.
We got a replay of Samuel Monroe here, and Chris Charles showing his displeasure. I think the Slammers starting to show a bit of frustration. They're notorious for their positive attitude and getting fired up and sometimes digging deep to find that extra, maybe what they don't have technically, they have in heart. And that's how they actually beat the Dragons, in my opinion, last time. We saw them basically bumping each other and pushing each other around to get themselves fired up, and that translated to the court when they stepped on.
I think that when you see the Malaysia Dragons in previous games, they would be a team that would take a lead. They'd be up 12, they'd be up 14, they'd be up 16, and they'd relax. And right now you're seeing them not relax, but instead take their foot and step on the throat of this Thailand Slammers team. And whether or not the Slammers can respond is going to be the story of the second half, I think.
Brutal.
It's not been a good start here, but that's why they play two halves. And the Slammers team is capable of putting up points in a hurry. So I would not count them out yet. That's professional basketball is a game of runs, and I'm certain that we're going to see a run out of the Slammers at some point here.
How do you see the physical battle today? Because notoriously the Dragons are not the biggest basketball team in the league, but aside from Chris Charles, you're looking around the Slammers and you don't see a lot of size and height in there.
No, and I think that the Dragons have played much more physical in this game than they've played in previous games. They're willing to mix it up on the physical side. Part of that comes from just the confidence they're getting, I think, from their performance on the offensive end. See them being able to share the basketball, being willing to give the ball to different guys. You just see now they're all a little bit more physical on both sides. I think that both coaches, in this case Joe Jellybean Bryant, I think challenged his team to be a little bit more physical coming out of that last huddle. And my guess is that they'll be so in this last minute and a half of the first half.
It's problematic, isn't it, Anthony? Because both teams like to run the ball. Both teams are fast, and that's just their game. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a bit of physicality to move the ball quickly. And both teams, like to shoot. But the field goal percentage has been very disappointing today for the Slammers, as low as 21%.
Yeah, I think that, like I said before, the KL Dragons, they've done a great job on the defensive end, being able to pack the paint and preventing easy shots around the rim for the Thailand Slammers, and that's limited their offensive opportunities. And then on the other side of the floor, the Dragons just made a lot of shots. And when you make shots in basketball, it's it's a nice feeling to have as a coach. I'm sure Coach Ariel Vanguardia will take the way his team is shooting from the floor. I think he'll take it any day of the week. Obviously, as you see here, there's a little bit of consternation about a misplaced horn during the action, I think. Coach Bryant not pleased about the horn going off. But there's nothing that can be done, so it is what it is. You move on and go to the next play. I think that the Dragons have to be happy with the way they've played defensively. That's translated onto the offensive end. It helps that Sammy Monroe had his own little three-point competition in the middle of that second quarter. And when guys are going to play like that, it's going to be very hard to stop.
Yes, sir. Well, when they're hot, they back themselves. But in previous games, they haven't been able to get into that zone. But this newfound confidence is translated to the players across the board. Yeah.
And Melton is a great, he's obviously, I think that they've got confidence. I think they had confidence before, but it was a situation where, obviously guys were not playing to their best ability, and sometimes all it takes is just to shake the drink, if you know what I mean. I don't think that there's anyone that would argue that, Cedric Bozeman is, not as good of a player, for example, as Sammy Monroe. Cedric Bozeman is one heck of a basketball player. But sometimes you just get that shake-up and it makes a big difference.
I have to say, to me, it looks like Justin Melton and Samuel Monroe have been playing together for years, but speaking to them after the game, they've never played together.
No, basketball is a great sport from the perspective that guys are used to playing on different teams with different bodies, and it really doesn't take, as much as people want to say, it takes guys a long time to get used to things. It really doesn't take all that long, in my experience, if you've got good players who are unselfish and are willing to do what it takes to win. And it seems like these guys are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And that will go a long way. And in the case of the Dragons, obviously it's shown dividends so far in these two games they've played together.
Yes, sir. Seeing a bit of the on-court entertainment while both coaches gather the boys in. Coach Bryant will be having words with his slammers. Meanwhile, Ariel will probably be encouraged.
Yeah, he will be. It's very difficult in basketball because, you know, obviously you've got a 40-minute game, you've got 4 10-minute quarters. To keep the level of intensity that the Dragons have had so far, it's difficult to keep that for all 40 minutes. And so the challenge for Coach Van Guardia now is to, you know, really get his players to understand it's not just about what the score is right now, but it's about getting better every minute that we're on the floor. Can we get better today so that when we play our next game, we're more prepared than we were before this game? And you don't want to take any steps back. On the opposite end of the spectrum, for Coach Bryant, you know, there's a famous saying in coaching, there is no such thing as a 20-point shot. And so he's got to tell his players, look, we only have to go this one possession at a time. We need one score, we need one stop. Then we come down again, we need one score, we need one stop. They don't need anything more than that. That's all they've got to look for, and they've got 20 more minutes to do it after this half ends.
That's a great point. I noticed him putting Fernandez in, notorious three-point shooter.
Looks like they're going a little isolation here. We'll rise up from Baggion, get into the lane. So Baggion usually does the facilitating, but in that case they had him as a wing option and tried to get him to be the quick guy coming off action from an attacked position on the wing. And obviously that got him a foul and a trip to the line.
Baggion's such a smart player. He knows how to dictate the pace, and it's difficult, I think, when the opposition's open up such a lead, not to try and force it, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think that of all the, maybe all the guards in our league, in terms of experience, you know, Baggion has been in this kind of situation, and he should know how to respond. One of the things that I love watching with the Slammers, you know, as much as any team, and maybe more than some, they really, like you said before, they've got a lot of, you know, pull for each other. But I think that their players and Coach Bryant, they teach the entire game. I watch Baggion going over to some of his local teammates and trying to teach them about points of the game, things that he wants them to see, things that he wants them to do. You see that from Coach Bryant on the sidelines as well. And it's a really good thing for the development of basketball in our region.
And that's one of the key aims of the league, right? Development. I mean, how do you see that going in the next few years?
I think we've come a long way, as we said before, about the development of locals. I think that it only gets better, and part of that comes from, you know, additional clubs and additional owners that are really supportive of what we're trying to do. I think that the owners that we have, the ones who've been here for a few years, would definitely say that the locals have improved a great deal. And I think that as we get more teams, both in the countries where we already have a team and in new countries, they can also contribute to that eventual development. So, you know, development is a big part of what we do. It's a major reason why the league was formed. And, you know, I hope that we can do a better job as time goes on.
So many of the kids that I speak to that come to the games, a lot of them get pretty inspired by the players they see and just want to pick up a basketball, which is nice.
Yeah, you got it. One of the things we say with development's not just about, you know, putting coaches out on the floor and rolling the balls out and teaching kids. You've got to implant in them a dream. And that's what professional basketball, and really in any kind of professional sport, it plants in them a dream that they can become something in the sport. And that forces them, you know, that encourages them rather to pick up a ball, to become good at something, to really start to love it. And that's really what we're trying to do with the ABL.
Fascinating contest between the 2 point guards as the experienced Baggion matches up to Melton. But it ends up with Patrick. And you know when he's in a good mood, he can start hitting those points. But at the buzzer, 48-29 to the home team. It's not looking great for the Slammers.
No, they couldn't have gone better for the Malaysia Dragons, and it probably could not have gone very much worse, you know, for the Chang Thailand Slammers. And they've got a chance now to regroup. They play 2 halves. This is not a, you know, not a 1-half game. They've got a chance to regroup, and we've seen, obviously, this is not the same Dragons team as the past, but we've seen this team go on lulls, and so they could very well go on a lull in this second half.
Let's chat to Lenora on the sidelines. Lynn.
Thank you very much, guys. Okay, with me, I'm with Soren Brown. He's the chairman and Lian Hing. How are you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. This is a fantastic game, and it really looks like KL Dragons will have a walkover today.
I've seen you many times at the games. The last time was another home game, and you were here for the last one versus San Miguel Beerman, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Another fantastic game. Really, really exciting. That one very, very close. I would say today looks like KL Dragons can walk it through with less pain and less drama, I think.
What do you think of the new imports, Monroe and also Melton?
They are absolutely amazing today. I'm really, really impressed with them. It's almost like a show, and I think they play extremely well together, and they're lifting the whole team, so everybody plays well. It's really good to see some of the local players today also getting the extra lift and playing fantastic game, especially Fight seems to be having a good game today.
Thank you very much, Soren. We're going for a short break. Stay with us. This is Fox Sports ABL Season 4.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is 48-29 to the home team, the Westports Malaysia Dragons, as they take on the Chang Thailand Slammers. Guys, 20 points from turnovers today for the Dragons. Coach Vanguardia will be over the moon at that. How have you seen this first half?
It's absolutely outstanding performance by the Dragons. I mean, they're really taking it to the Slammers. You have to say the Slammers should pick up a little bit more. They're not getting that much threes or outside shooting. They're relying too much on the inside, in the paint shooting. And right now we're seeing they've made 1 3 out of 3 attempts, and that is just not good enough for the Slammers.
Is this the most dominant performance you've seen from the Dragons this season?
Yeah, well, so far in terms of the last couple of games, this is fantastic. I mean, even a stronger performance against the Beermen, where they picked up their momentum, and definitely a lot stronger than their 4 losses, their 4 consecutive losses, which for the KL Dragons and the fans will be fantastic that they got over.
Yeah, this is something that they must have addressed on the training court. Coach Van Guardia has been drilling them and drilling them, but from a Slammer's perspective, how do they get back into this? I mean, a whole half to go.
Well, it's going to be up to Chris Childs. I know they've contained him really well. I mean, he's only put up 2 points in the game so far and a couple of rebounds. By this point in his other game, he would have already put up half the points he did of those 27 points.
Well, let's check out the highlight reel from that first half. Dominance from the Dragons. Baguillon has struggled to get into the game for the Slammers. That was some solid D from Tautua, but Lo Shi-Fai has weighed in with some points. Edwards, this is as lively as we have seen him in a while.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Ariel did call him out at the beginning of the game, and he wanted Edwards to step up against Chris Childs, and what a great job he's done so far. Really closing down and getting the points in there, too.
Samuel Monroe from way downtown, he loves it. Today he is in the zone, firing them off at will. And the Slammers with little reply. Widapong Dorsum, I mean, that's a simple lay-in as one of their highlights.
Yeah, they're just going to find a way to get through the pressure of the Dragons. They're coming out strong, and even on the transition play, they're so great. I mean, that was a great rejection. Unfortunately for the Dragons, it was called a foul, but that's really sending a message to the Slammers that they're going to make it real difficult for them to get any of those points.
We saw the link-up between Justin Melton and Samuel Monroe, with Moala Tautua finishing the playoff with the stuff. The range of passing from Monroe has been delightful. Meanwhile, the Slammers have struggled to hold him down.
Yeah, that's a fantastic highlight right there. I mean, beautiful spin and the long 2-pointer, but beautiful swish by Monroe.
Here is the man Magic Monroe on the ball, driving in, passing it off, and a loose ball. The difficulty seeming to be for the Slammers when they do try and lock down Monroe. Space opens up, and the likes of Kwek have come in, and Lo Shi-Fai, and contributed for points. Yeah, they contributed really well. They're both shooting more than they usually do. Their averages, they're doing a good job. Great local talent. We love seeing when the locals come out and really dominating. As Anthony was saying before, it's great to see in the long term and learning from the international players and just improving them game by game, and that's what we want to see. Well, last time out, of course, the Slammers went back to Bangkok with an exceptional victory. It struck me as a very competitive league this time out. 6 teams. How do we see it going in the next couple of seasons? I mean, anybody can win any given Sunday, as they say. So where is it going to go in the next couple of years for you? Do we see more teams added in to get more competitive?
Oh, I definitely think so. You know, I think one of the things we have to look for is the ability to add new teams that have the same kind of vision that our current teams have for the development of basketball and sports entertainment in the region. You know, and that means new teams in new places. It means, you know, the potential for some countries to add a second team. And I think that, you know, it's a matter of finding the right partners to do it. One of the biggest problems that some leagues face is, you know, the ownership needs to all be on the same page in order to get to where you want to go. And so, you know, one of my most important jobs in leadership and in spearheading where the ABL is going is recruiting. You know, identifying, recruiting, and then signing on new teams that are willing to do what it takes, you know, to provide a top-notch basketball product here in ASEAN.
Okay, great stuff. Well, let's get back to it after this quick commercial break. Hey guys, welcome back to MABA Stadium, where we're coming to you live on Fox Sports with the Westports Malaysia Dragons versus the Chang Thailand Slammers. We're going to throw over to Lenora, who has a special courtside interview.
Hey guys, I'm with Coach Era for the KL Dragons. Now Coach, your team is doing very well. 20 points from turnovers. And Chris Charles, he had 27 rebounds the last time, but you have closed him down to just 5 rebounds. What are you doing right for your team?
That's the challenge for us. You know, he cannot have again another 27 rebounds, or else we don't have a chance of winning this. But as I've said, this is only the first half. We gotta keep on giving it to them and keep on playing our game, and hopefully we can come up victorious. But you know, we gave up so many free throws, and that's one thing. We have to play without fouling.
What did you tell the boys just now during halftime?
I told them, you know, this is our house, and they don't come here and just step on us. And you know, I learned it from the Malaysians, right? If you enter a Malaysian home, you have to remove your slippers, remove your shoes. So why welcome Thailand and just with a dirty feet, right?
Right. I gotta ask you something. Your imports, Melton and Monroe, how do you think they're providing a good influence for the local players in your team? Because aren't you scared? Well, some people are scared that they're gonna overshadow the local players.
They're a good complement to them, and you know they're good role players too. Melton, if he's getting doubled, he will assist, and you know, he helps us in practice also. Like the locals learn from them in practice, guarding them. So it's a team effort.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Lynn. Great stuff there. Coach sending a very strong message about how he felt about that defeat last time out to the Slammers, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was humiliating. That's what he said. But you know, despite what Coach Arlo just said right there, he does have a lot of respect for Coach Brian. I mean, he really respects that he has such an international background, where he's coached in the WNBA, in the Japanese league as well, and the ABA in the States. So a lot of respect to him there, and even for the development of the league, he really likes the addition for Coach Brian.
And also speaking about the imports and their impact with the local players, it's hard not to show some love to Samuel Monroe. I mean, what a performance today, 19 points. And Anthony, you just told me an incredible stat. You got to repeat that.
Well, it's not, you know, it's just amazing when you think about the fact that Samuel Monroe has hit 4 3-pointers in this game, which is one more that he's made than the entire Slammers team has attempted. And yeah, it just tells a little bit of a story of the game in terms of the kind of shots that the Dragons are getting, the kind of shots that they want, and the kind of shots that the Slammers are getting, which are not the ones they're looking for.
Chris Charles finally getting some joy out of Gavin Edwards. Edwards could have been a little bit more robust, seemed to give up on it, and Charles capitalized. Now they need a bit of luck in the paint if they're going to get back into this and cut down this quite sizable lead for the Dragons.
Yeah, well, you really can sense the urgency from the Slammers now, especially Christian Charles. He knows that he's not performing up to his standard, and the fans know it as well, that he's got to pick it up, because he's got only 5 rebounds so far in the first half, and how he's going to match his other performance of 27 rebounds. We're going to see it tonight, but in basketball, you never know what's going to happen, and with a coach like Bryant, anything can happen in this league. So we might even see a turn of events with the Slammers this half.
Michael Earl with a loose pass picked up by Chris Charles. Michael Earl, 7 points in that first half. An understated performance, but the Slammers need to take the points where they can get them here. Justin Melton with the long 2, rebounding his own shot, but it's loose, and Frolion Baguillon picks it up. Oh, Sammy Monroe almost picking it out. Letty Laukel with the score, 50-33. Now, the Dragons fans really starting to enjoy themselves. There were some sad faces around MABA after that 4 defeats in a row. Of course, they lost their first 2 at home. but the atmosphere has really picked up these past couple of games. Anthony, what would you say to those fans out there who may be watching at home, but maybe haven't made the trip down to MABA yet?
I think that, there are a number of teams in our league that do a fantastic job of engaging the fans who come out and support the team live. And, in MABA and the Malaysia Dragons, as we see an offensive foul. Personally, I'm not so certain about that call. We can talk about the officiating in a minute, but I don't know that I would have made that one. But, either way, in terms of the way that they engage their fans, you've got a situation here where they do everything they can, the Malaysia Dragons general manager's office, and to really, present a high quality, first class in-game experience. And so, if you're just watching the game on television, you have no idea what it's like to actually be down here and see the game live and kind of get a feel of being around the crowd. And it's something you can only experience. So I hope that some fans come out and see these games live, because it's definitely worth the trip.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends over from sunny England who caught the Beerman game last week, and colour them converted every game now. It's hilarious. They can't stop talking about it. But I suppose it helps when the team you're going for wins, eh?
It definitely helps when a team wins, but the most important thing for most fans, is that the game is competitive. It's got to be a game where the teams obviously are matched up well. The score here might be a 19-point difference, but these two teams definitely belong on the same floor with one another. And because you're in an indoor stadium, the volume is amplified. And you definitely have a feeling that you're part of a really big crowd, and you get a kind of that spirited feel as Christian Charles able to get another score inside, definitely asserting himself here to start the second half. But you definitely get that feel from being indoors. For a lot of fans, and I'm sure there are a number of fans of soccer, of football, that are watching this broadcast, and they've never quite been to an indoor sporting event like this. It really does feel like a lot more people are here than there are, and it just ends up being a tremendous experience.
And one new implementation this season, which I've liked, has been the YouTube coverage. You can watch the games on YouTube, which is great for those who don't want to brave the sun or the rain and get out to MABA. You can catch it online, and we're getting thousands of people subscribing to that, so that's great for the league, I think.
Absolutely. YouTube.com/ABL. We're broadcasting every game live around the world. I've got family back in the United States that watch games. They can follow along with the Malaysia Dragons, in Newark, New Jersey, just as well as you can here in Kuala Lumpur. So it's great for the league and for our growth.
We're going to go for a very quick commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here live from MABA Stadium. The score is 52-37 to the Westports Malaysia Dragons. We have Justin Melton, who's had another exceptional game so far, taking the Slammers on. He's really taking it to them, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great performance so far, but what I wanted to point out is just before the break there, Baguion did a fantastic coast-to-coast play, and that's what they want to see more often, because he is an influential player for the Thailand Slammers, and if he penetrates the paint more often, then hopefully he'll bring up the rest of his team, and then they'll be more comfortable and confident to shoot more baskets.
Meanwhile, Lo Shi Fai laying in a very stylish 2. And that 3-pointer will lift the spirits of the Slammers. Fernandez, whom we know he can shoot. Low Shi-Fi. Out to Monroe. Monroe so hot from three-point land today. But Chris Charles finally showing some authority with those defensive boards. It'll be Fernandez again with it, with the 3-pointer. Not so fortunate with that one. So back to what we were saying, Anthony. I've noticed with all the YouTube followers as well, we get supporters from both teams giving it to each other in the comment section. But if you want to get in touch with Anthony, being the CEO and all, don't forget you can get on Twitter at ABL News, or get onto the Facebook page. If you have any questions for the man, then he'll be happy to answer them. I suggest you take advantage of his presence with us right here in the commentary booth.
I appreciate the opportunity to come in and share a little bit about the ABL and what we're trying to do. As we see here, I think actually the Slammers asserting themselves a little bit. They cut it down to around a 16-point lead here. Charles looks like it won't go to the line, but it looks like it'll be a possession underneath. But I get a sense, and it might be just a brief sense. You see here Charles getting the ball right on the block and attempting to go inside. But I get a sense here that the Dragons have a little bit of a let-up happening. And it's just a difference in the way they were asserting themselves earlier compared to the way they're asserting themselves now. And if the Slammers can take advantage, we could see a change around in this game. There's still plenty of time left. 15 minutes left in the game overall and 5 minutes left in this quarter.
Yeah, they must avoid complacency. That was a very disappointing feature a couple of games back we saw from them. Against the Indonesia Warriors, I think they opened up a healthy lead and then completely fell asleep and let it slip. And the Chang Thailand Slammers are a team that when they get a bit of momentum, they can definitely capitalize.
Well, they finish in transition really well. Christian Charles, obviously he's long and everyone talks about how tall and athletic he is, but probably his best trait is his ability to run the floor. He runs the floor amazingly well. And so, that's a guy who can get out of the lane. He puts pressure on defenses, and that puts defenses in a position where they've got to collapse on him, and it potentially opens up Slammers shooters. So, if they can get a couple scores right around the middle of the lane, they could get some outside jumpers to fall. All of a sudden, it becomes, a 16-point lead becomes a 9-point lead really quickly, and teams start to get nervous, and all of a sudden that 9-point lead is a 5-point lead, and we're 4 minutes to go. We're talking about a different game than what we experienced in that first half.
And Anthony, what makes him such a great threat is for a guy at 7'1", he's actually a pretty decent free throw shooter. I mean, in the last game, he hit 70%, 7 out of 10, and his overall shooting percentage is at 62, which is not bad for a guy at 7'1". So that just makes the Dragons know that they cannot foul him too much with the shooting fouls because they will be punished. So they got to keep the discipline, hands up in his face, so if he gets a shot up, there's no shooting foul too.
Yeah, it's not just obviously the foul situation. With him being able to shoot free throws is a big impactor for them. But in addition, the fact that he's a kind of player who can foul out his opponents. He's a guy who all of a sudden, Gavin Edwards has 3 fouls really quickly, and now you've got no one inside who can really guard him. As you see that three-pointer come down, I mean, this could start to happen here for the Chang Thailand Slammers.
So Anthony, for those of the viewers who don't know, tell us a little bit more about the ruling and how many imports you can have in the process of selecting your imports, because we saw Fernandez draining that 3 there. First, let's go to Lenora and see what she has to say on the sideline.
Okay, just now I spoke with Coach Brian and also his assistant, echoing exactly what he said just now. He would rather have a bad shot than a turnover. They are really mad that they got 20 points given to the Dragons. Now here's a foul report. KL Dragons, they got 9 people with personal fouls, and they need to watch out for Edwards with 4 fouls and Tatua with 3. Whereas the Chang Thailand Slammers have 5 people with fouls, and Chris Charles has the most with 3. Back to you guys.
Well, that could be significant, Anthony. You said it earlier on. I mean, that's up to Chris Charles, right? He's so good at drawing that foul, and Edwards, if they were to lose him, if he were to foul out, that could be significant.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're trying a little bit of cold spell here for the Dragons. See if Patrick can knock one down, and he can't. And we see, you know, the Slammers just throwing the ball over the top. Christian Charles longer. He's able to just gather it and finish. And all of a sudden, we're right around an 11-point game. You know, just like that, very quiet, but they've asserted themselves.
This is where Monroe can so often provide inspiration, but that was well wide of the mark. Turned over, Patrick Kabahog with the easy lay-in. The crowd enjoyed that, but that's what they need, just to take it easy and not get carried away, the Dragons.
Yeah, that was a great interception by Monroe. I mean, he not just an offensive player, but such a good defensive player too. In his debut, he got 8 steals as well. So he's a big threat, and the Slammers can't give up points like that, because if they want to get back in the game, they can't give away silly turnovers or interceptions like the one we just saw.
So let's get very quickly back to what we are saying with the ruling on imports, because the field goal percentage, and especially from three-point land, the Slammers weren't looking too good. They brought Fernandez in, who's a specialist shooter. He's drained 2 threes today. So how do they go about the imports? What's the story with that for those who don't know?
Well, from a rules perspective, you know, each team is allowed 2 world imports. Those are imports from outside of the ASEAN region. And each team is allowed up to 3 ASEAN imports, and those are players that possess a passport from somewhere in ASEAN, but not the home country. And the rest of their roster must be filled with locals. With one of their locals is the ability to have a heritage player, and that's a player as a local, you know, who has one of his parents being born in this country that he's playing in, but not necessarily him being born in that country. So a little bit of a relaxed rule there. And so we see teams taking advantage of different parts of those rules in order to form their rosters. And in our case, each of the teams is responsible for their own roster creation. So they have a general manager, they've got a player personnel guy who goes out scouting, looking for the kind of talent that will help them to be as good as they can be. And then builds their roster from there based around, mainly around, what do my locals have? And then how do I fill in imports around what can complement my locals?
Great stuff as Bart matches up Baggion. 2 very experienced players, both of which have played for their national teams. Now that was inventive from the Slammers, just a little too high for Michael Earl.
Now you can see they're making a concerted effort to attack the rim up high, because the Dragons simply don't have a ton of size on the floor right now, and the size they do have is not necessarily the most athletic size. So they're trying to throw the ball up and give their athletes a chance to go up and get it.
Seeing Lee Wei in possession now. He's on court, perhaps to match up Chris Charles with his size, of course missing Gavin Edwards. Oh, that was sloppy from the Slammers.
They call that footsteps. Someone heard or watched Moala Tatua tracking him down, and as we see it here, he knows Tatua is timing up his jump and did not want to get swallowed up there. Just lost the ball off of his hand.
Bit of a mismatch, Tautur on Lert Laukul. Lert Laukul not the biggest guy, new to the team. Meanwhile, Kabahag puts it up, and Tautur, an advertising board, gets the wrath.
Yeah, I mean, despite the difference in experience, I mean, it is good to get your local players that experience, but not only that, you don't want Edwards to foul out too early. He's such a crucial player, and if he fouls out early on in this game, then we might even see the Slammers come up real close, because right now they are closing down, and in 13 points when the quarter started with a 19-point deficit.
Just for fans at home, maybe watching basketball, maybe it's your first time, or you're not a huge basketball fan, you should know that a 13-point lead with 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the third quarter is an eternity, and anything can happen in this game. This is by no means insurmountable, and this game can turn very, very quickly into the Slammers' favor, so don't touch your dial.
And Anthony, just on that subject, when the KL Dragons were doing their 4-game consecutive losing streak, in their game against the Indonesia Warriors, that's exactly what happened. They got too complacent. They were about 12 points ahead of the Warriors, and in the fourth quarter, the Warriors came back so strong. So I totally believe you that you can't say it's the end of the game just now because it's still early on. It is like an eternity. We still got another quarter to go.
We had a game last year in the ABL. This tells you the way that basketball goes. As we see Melton pull up, fail to knock it down, but the offensive rebound for the Dragons. We had a game last year in the ABL where the Saigon Heat were taking on the Indonesia Warriors, and there was less than 2 minutes left with the Warriors up 10. Saigon came back and won the game in regulation. So, it's definitely possible, and it happens constantly in this game. It's a game of runs, and you never know when one is going to happen.
How do you guys think the Dragons are feeling Edwards' presence on the bench and not on the court? Coach Ariel's going to have to be smart about how he uses him here.
Well, I don't think they need to force the plays. I mean, there's less than 1 minute on the clock right now. It's going to give enough time for Edwards to take a breather, just be composed, let the ball flow. Do not force the shots. Just let the time run out until the next quarter.
Baguion from outside. Leeway up against Charles. John Ung coming out with it. Now Melton. And that will please the Dragons, I think. Leeway going up against Charles, taking the open shot. But aside from Edwards, Leeway is the man to match him up.
Yeah, he's doing a good job so far. I mean, maybe not the right shot of choice just there, but as a center right now, he's going up strong against Charles, and he's not letting Charles take advantage that Edwards is on the court right now. But in terms of they don't really need to focus so much on getting the points in right now, but defensively they've been doing so well with Edwards off the court. Well, Andy, that actually was a great play right there. Unfortunately, the Slammers ran out of time. Only a couple more seconds, that would have put another 2 points on the board, but it should have been more aware of the time right there, because that would have been crucial for the 2 points to come in and close the deficit.
Okay, well, we're going to get right back to it after this commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, live from MABA Stadium. The score is 60-47 for the Westports Malaysia Dragons against the visiting Chang Thailand Slammers. Of course, in Bangkok, the Dragons took victory, while in the reverse fixture, the Slammers came to MABA, came to the Dragons' house and took home the W. So a lot of context, a lot of backstory behind this game. I'm with my co-commentator, Daniel Smurthwaite, and of course the CEO of the ABL, Anthony Macri.
A lovely player right there, Andy. I just wanted to point out that in terms of Melton's stats right now, he's not actually putting anywhere near the kind of points he was in his debut. Right now he only has 3 points, but of course he got those 19 against the Beerman last time. But that shouldn't discount that his presence on court creates a lot of space because he's so good at driving to the paint and dishing the ball off like we just saw in that previous play.
Well, in some respects, maybe Dragons fans can take that as a positive because they're not having to rely so heavily on Justin Melton, because when he had to step his game up against the Beerman, yeah, he delivered the points and assists, but you get the sense today that the Dragons are getting more points across the board from some of the players who don't usually get so many minutes on court.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing a good distribution of points here. We've got Edwards as well with 9 points, and Shifilo with 4 points at the moment, but that's already taken above his average. Really happy with Quake's performance too at 6 points, and usually he only has an average of about 1.5 points a game. So we are seeing a distribution of scorers here, and that's important for team chemistry because that means more ball movement and less one-man charging to the basket.
So Frolion Baguion, one of the star men for the Slammers, so often so effective, has been a little bit quiet today. He's 61% from the line, a holding foul being called for the Slammers. Now, Anthony, how do you see the officiating? Because I think it's much improved from what it was last season, and if you read the Facebook pages and the Twitter, this is something that across the board in all sports, this gets fans very angry, and this gets them talking. I mean, how do you find the standard now?
Well, I definitely think that there's been improvement, and that's to be expected. You know, just as we see an improvement in our local players. The shot went up there, but a shot clock violation. Just as we saw an improvement in our local players, I think that we've seen an improvement in our officials as they've kind of gotten used to the level of play in the ABL and the quality of play. But, you know,
let's get back to that first. We're going to talk to Lenora on the sidelines.
Hey guys, wow, foul report is crazy over here. The KL Dragons have 11 people with personal fouls, and of course they got to watch out for Edwards, still with 4, and he's on the bench. Oh wait, no. Yes, he's on the bench, and Tatua with 3. Coach was actually saying to the boys, don't foul the game. Coach Brian is taking it step by step, and he's trying to work on at least a 10-point gap. Not what they're having right now. He's not too happy that the clock didn't stop for Guga's foul either. And they have 5 people still with fouls. Chris Charles with the most at 3. Back to you guys.
That's very interesting subplot to the game. Sorry to interrupt you there, Anthony. Please carry on with that point you were making about the referees.
I mean, I think they definitely have improved over the last few years, but ultimately it doesn't matter what level of basketball that you're in. When a referee makes a call, you're going to have a group of fans that don't like it, and you're going to have a group of fans that are okay with it. And it's going to be for any call, anytime, anywhere in basketball. And, you know, you can watch an NBA game and get plenty of fans as Google lines up, but goes long on a 3. You have plenty of fans who, you know, complain about the officiating at the NBA level. They complain about it in EuroLeague basketball. You know, it's just, it's one of the facts of life. It's a very difficult thing to do. With that said, we are working and committed to the development of our officials. You know, we brought in a former NBA official in Riel Benaria, who is our coordinator for basketball operations this year, and he's working with our officials to ensure a high standard and to continue to work on their development. So, you know, it's one more way in which we hope that the league can get better over the next few years.
Onwards and upwards. Frolion Baguion trying to claw this one back, leading by example for the Slammers. It can change so quickly now. We spoke about that subplot. Thanks for that, Lynn. Edwards and Tautua must watch themselves. Edwards especially is not far from foul trouble. Coach has chosen to throw him in. He's had a bit of a breather. He's feeling fresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have him fresh on the floor. He won't be too sloppy with his defense now. And what we don't want to see is him giving up any silly fouls. If he does give those away, we can really see a huge change in performance by the Slammers if Edwards gets fouled out. But he has to play smart, get a few of the boards in, and play some smart opposition as well.
Ruthless D from Chris Charles, but it's turned over. Guga, the captain, in possession, throws, swings it out to Melton. Inside now, Edwards matches up against Charles, but is penalized.
Play here has gotten a little bit raggy. You've seen a little bit more physical play from both teams. You know, the Slammers obviously trying to claw their way back in, and the Dragons, I think, trying to recapture some of the aggressive, just you know, assertiveness that they had early in the game. It's just not quite coming at the same level that it was earlier.
Yeah, we really are seeing shades of the first quarter right now. It's good to see that aggression back, because even though they do have a big lead, it's not as big as what they did in the first half by 19. So it's closing up, and they're realizing, okay, they're getting a little bit closer, and that's always the danger about getting too many points too early on in the game.
And I just had to stop myself because I just saw a wild shot from Samuel Monroe. That's a collector's item, ladies and gentlemen. Monroe continuing though from his previous game with a whopping 23 points. He's becoming Mr. Reliable.
Addy, I love that play right there. I mean, Melton did exactly what point guards need to do. They just charge down court, draw in the defender, and then dish it out to an open shooter, and that just makes it easier for a shooter like Monroe to hit it off the backboard and go in. Beautiful play.
Despite what you might argue are having two star players in Justin Melton and Samuel Monroe, I'm seeing a far more balanced Dragons team out today.
And it's also nice seeing, looking at the team up of Melton and Guga, because both these guys are very good distributors, and because they're both natural point guards, seeing them team up together will be an experiment to see how they go later on in the league. But I like how the coach RL is trying to fuse them together, see if it works, and if it does, then we can have a really strong starting five consistently.
Chris Charles very slowly, inch by inch, starting to have his way. He's now in double figures.
Yeah, he's on 10 rebounds at the moment. At the beginning of the half, he was only on 3, so he is starting to shine up a little bit. I think he sensed the urgency that he needs to step up, because he is a talisman for the Slammers, along with Baguan. So if he starts performing, hopefully for the Slammers and their fans, that they can pick it up too.
Moala Tautua goes to the line. Easy does it. 65-51. Dragons starting to regain control of this game. You gotta love that when the crowd goes deathly silent. Now they're picking back up again. Week by week, we're getting armies of fans in here. Last week, we had so many Filipino visitors for the San Miguel Beermen.
Eddie, I just wanted to point out that I think Tatua is also playing really well tonight. He's already on 10 points. And he's got 9 rebounds. He's actually the top rebounder out of the Dragons right now. I mean, we always see that he's such an energetic player, but tonight you can tell that he's not as frantic. He's controlling it. He's applying this energy into smarter basketball, and I think that just comes with playing with the team and maturing as a player, because he is a young guy, and he's really showing what he's made of tonight.
You said it, Dan. Maturity. I think that's the answer. But that was a sweet 3. That will lift them. We're going to be right back here on Fox Sports. Don't go away. We're going to commercial break. Welcome back to MABA Stadium. The score is 66-54 to the Westports Malaysia Dragons against the Chang Thailand Slammers. You are, of course, here with CEO of the ABL, Anthony Macri, and my co-commentator, Daniel Smurthwaite. Now, Anthony, for any Dragons fans who want to make the trip to Saigon, just summarize for us a little bit more about the Hoops Festival in March coming up.
Sure, yeah, it'll be March 15th, 16th, and 17th there in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. And, the plan is for us to have 3 ABL games, all 6 teams then in attendance. And you see a nice pull-up there from Sammy Monroe. All 6 teams in attendance and 3 games on Friday. 3 games also on Sunday, different matchups. There'll be random matchups. The matchups were determined before the season by random selection, and we'll get those matchups out to you actually this week. But following that, also with it rather, on Saturday, we're going to do a little bit of a fan fest, and the fan fest will be a celebration of basketball, music, entertainment, food, all those different things. So on Saturday afternoon, there'll be a clinic there on site, and then as you see, Gavin Edwards knocked the ball out of bounds on an attempted pass to Charles on the break. The fan fest will include a clinic in the afternoon, and then in the evening we'll come together. We'll have a full court, but we'll split it in half, and half the court will be a stage for some of the top musical acts in Vietnam that'll appear, and the other half will be our competition zone. We'll have a slam dunk contest, a 3-point shootout, and a celebrity 3-on-3 game. So we're looking forward to all of that coming up on March 15, 16, and 17.
Awesome. I think there's a few individuals on court today who would fancy their chances in a couple of those competitions. I'd personally like to see a grudge match. I was speaking to one of the Slammers players earlier, and he was a little sad that this is going to be his last time in KL this season.
Well, and you never know. There's also the playoffs coming up. We've got, 4 teams will make our playoffs, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think we come the last 3 weeks of the season, I think all 6 teams will still have a shot at making the playoffs. And when you've got that kind of parity, it can only mean, great things for our fans.
Gavin Edwards at the line, again, quietly racking those points up. He's 46% from the line, but he averages 14.14 points per game. He creeps up on you, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I want to point out right now is that if you look at the matchup, Edwards is now on Earl, and they've given the responsibility to Tatua to match up against Charles. And I mean, that could mean 2 things. One, that could mean Edwards is tired, or oh goodness, what an alley-oop there. Excuse me for mid-sentence. Woo!
Play of the day right there. I have to say, there's a little bit of time to go left in the game. But wow, the give and go, the alley-oop, sensational, some levitation on the jam.
Outstanding play, and you just see more of that come up in this league, and that's why the fans love to see these kind of plays, and that was an exceptional alley-oop right there.
Edwards with the fadeaway, no good. But Moala's always there, isn't he?
Always,
so
yeah.
energetic. Michael Earl matched up by Gavin Edwards. It's kept in by Justin Melton as the Dragons look to break. Samuel Monroe in the lane with the easy 2, and the crowd likes it. So, Anthony Macri, CEO of the ABL, it's been a pleasure to have you with us today, sir, in the commentary booth. Anything to say, or any parting words for the ABL fans?
Well, I just hope that we continue to grow. We'll grow the league. We're going to work very hard to make sure that this is, it's already, I think, the best basketball league in our region, and we're going to work hard to make it, on par with the best basketball leagues in the world. And we're doing that all for the fans here in ASEAN. So we're looking forward to some great things to come.
Awesome. we have Charles at the line, the main man for the Slammers. Pretty decent from the line usually, Dan.
Yeah, usually. Not too much tonight. I think he's just a little frustrated with himself and his, well, lack of performance because he was such a key guy against the Dragons last time they played. Making 1 of 2 there.
Is that a pun, Dan? Key guy?
It looked like they've got Edwards back on Charles. So strong to the rim. Fantastic play. Really showing his strength there.
Defense!
Andy, just the three-point shooting is not going for the Slammers tonight. They're 4 of 14, whereas the 4 of 14 is just not good enough for them to get back into the game. And usually they're pretty decent at three-point shooting. They're going to have to look for something else to do because that is not their escape route to getting back into the game.
Yeah, that'll be disappointing, but I'll tell you what, Coach Bryant, knowing him and his usual advice to the players, he'll tell them to keep taking their shots. If they're not going in, they're not going in. It's nothing you can do, but I think he'd be more disappointed if that was affecting their confidence to take the open shots. But I'll tell you what, Michael Earl with the 3, and that could set them off on a run. I mean, there is still some time to go. 16-point lead for the Dragons. But they just need to get on a run, and Michael Earl has quietly had a decent game today, scoring fairly well for the Slammers.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit worried now because the Slammers they're not putting up the full court press. We're coming to the end of the game, and it's like they're taking it easy as if they'd accepted defeat. And 16 points is quite a large deficit. I mean, they're not. I don't know if they're going to get back in the game now, but if they need to still show that their heart is still in it. Match up man-to-man, put the defense, force the turnovers, and then get the get some points on the transition plays.
So many players on the court in foul trouble right now. Edwards, Tautua, I believe Charles for the Slammers. But you might think that the Slammers would look to capitalize on that a little more. Both Edwards and Tautua still on the floor. Now Charles, as we've spoken about previously, is good at drawing those fouls, but I guess you've got to credit the Dragons for keeping their discipline in that respect.
Yeah, I definitely give credit to Charles. I mean, if you do, judging by how much the Dragons have, the fouls they have, he's done a pretty good job. But what was an expectation of his supporting players to draw the fouls as well, because it was so close to getting Edwards and Monroe out of the game, even Tatua. Can you imagine if they got those 3 out earlier on, this game would have been completely different. But 17-point gap is a big ask, and he's already taken off, Coach Bryant's already taken off his starting players, and I think he's giving his supporting cast just a bit more playing time and experience.
Yeah, well, both teams, whether win or lose, have to look forward to the next game because these games are coming thick and fast as Melton with the one-handed lay-in in the lane.
Yeah, so much spring right there. Great 2-pointer. I mean, they're not slowing down. It's like they're really sending a message, not just to the Slammers for like this is our home, this is our territory, but to the rest of the league that hey, the Dragons are coming. Yes, they were 5th for a while with their 4-game losing streak. But with this win, they'll come up to 2nd, to 3rd. So this is very important for the Dragons to let the other teams know we're not easy teams.
Yes, certainly sending a message that'll be starting to get some consistency with 2 W's on the bounce. But Coach Jellybean Bryant is an animated figure on the court right now. He's remonstrating with the officials. But that kind of conflicts with the fact that he's taken off his star players. What do you make of that? I mean, it's good that he's playing his youngsters, playing the local players, but at the same time, that sends a little bit of a negative message, doesn't it, that maybe he's given up on this game?
Oh, you can tell he's so frustrated. He's all the way up to the officials. He's talking to the main official right now. He's obviously not happy with a few of the calls that have happened tonight. He's really expressing his distaste in some of these decisions, but I think that just summarizes his thoughts of the game and just the whole team in general.
What do the Slammers take away from this? What do they take back to Bangkok? What are the positives and negatives? What do they want to work on?
Well, I guess they're just not taking enough. They weren't taking enough shots this game. They didn't have enough open plays, and you know, I won't discredit how the Slammers have played tonight, but you have to hand it to the Dragons for really stepping up, performing. There's such an offense tonight that it was just a very difficult job for the Slammers to take him out.
At the line, Kitimonwana keeping a nice, relaxed head to nail the free throws, but his nickname is actually Johnny 5 because he is solid on his D, sometimes a little too solid. So Johnny 5 fouls is what they call him in the locker room, which I'm a fan of that.
Oh, here we've got C-Line coming up with the free throws. Always nice to have some experience on the court. He's been in the league for a long time now, and having experience on the court at the end of the game just reminds all the young players that, hey, listen, I know we've got the win. It's very exciting, but you know that doesn't mean that we should get ahead of ourselves. It's about being composed, taking it slow, slowing the play down, and just letting the clock run, because that's what's most important right now.
Yeah, it's nice to see Seelan getting some points on the board as well. I mean, he spoke about his experience. He's played many years for the Malaysian national team, but he's such an important figure in the locker room as well as on court. He's not scoring as well as he was last season. I mean, his strength is three-point shooting, and they haven't been going down for him this season, but the example he sets from the young players is invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, even though he might be not scoring as much, he can. When they still go back for timeouts, you have that same input, or that great input that an experienced player would have as someone who's been playing with the Malaysian team, and has lots of experience. So it's important to have guys like him on the team to share that kind of knowledge.
81-63 here at MABA Stadium. Sektira for the Slammers puts up the layup. It's no good. The clock winding down, just 25 seconds left here at MABA. The Dragons looking forward to their second victory in a row on their home court.
Yeah, you can just see like Bob was getting a bit too excited there. He wanted to have a flashy block. There's only 25 seconds to go, and you know, you just plant your feet, put your hands up, and you'd be surprised how effective that is anyway. Just getting your hand into the face of your opponent instead of going for the big block, and just making sure you don't give away those shooting fouls as well.
Second chance points for the Dragons up until that third quarter, just 2 for the Slammers. And it's getting a bit feisty on court here. Frustrations starting to boil over just a little bit. Bon Sin Oi. Out to Kwek. Kwek gets an arm to the face from Sektira. Oh, Koncom, sorry.
Yeah, it's getting a little physical out there. The Slammers obviously not happy with their performance. I mean, if you just look at the steals, I mean, you got to give credit to the Dragons. They came out with 14 steals tonight, and the Slammers only came out with 4, so that shows a lot about giving the ball away, these unforced errors, or just the Dragons pressuring so well, so they're going to be really happy with their performance tonight.
Both teams been getting in each other's faces. The team fouls have really racked up, Dan.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's come more from the Dragons side, so I think that's why the Slammers aren't very happy. The Slammers are getting so physical. They have double the team fouls that the Slammers have. And that can always, disrupt the flow of play, and I think that's really getting into the heads of the Slammers.
Koncom will go to the line. Sinks it. 82-65, 11.4 seconds left on the clock.
I think the Dragons just really need to slow it down right now. I don't think that was the best option for Guga to do. Just get the ball out, hold it. No need to throw those expressway passes that go all the way to the other side of the court, because now they've already given it back to the Slammers.
I think Coach Aria would like to see some discipline, but at the same time, this is an opportunity for a flash photo finish. But that wraps it up, 82-66 for the Westports Malaysia Dragons, and the crowd are on their feet, loving it, Dan. Sweet, sweet victory.
Yeah, outstanding performance by the Dragons tonight. You gotta give credit to them. I mean, there was a lot of talk whether or not the Dragons would repeat their performance against the Beermen last time, but they've shown the consistency. They've come up strong, and 82 points is a great finish to have, and holding the Slammers to 66 points. The Dragons going to be really happy with their performance tonight.
Yes, sir. They will sleep well tonight. They put the effort in, and it was a feisty affair in the end. A few players getting into foul trouble, but the areas that have been weak in previous games were hugely improved for the Dragons, while the Slammers perhaps missed a couple of absentees today. Chanachang Kwahan is one of their most effective defenders, while Aparam Valaichai getting married today, so they'll be back. And they got a few youngsters on the court, some new faces, and Coach Brian is all about integrating the local players and giving them some minutes on the floor, which is a positive to take into the next game, because what we saw at the start of the season after a slow start, the Slammers actually went from strength to strength, and that was just from gaining experience.
Well, one thing you gotta give credit to about the Dragons is they didn't let the Slammers out rebound them enough. So they didn't out-rebound them. It was only a difference between 37 rebounds to the Dragons and 41 rebounds to the Slammers. But when the Slammers took out the Dragons last time, there was a 20 rebound difference. So that was one of the big differences that the Dragons did not let the Slammers take advantage of this time. So they're really getting hold of their weaknesses, and rebounding is definitely one of them that they've shown improvement on.
Samuel Monroe is throwing up his bows. They're loving it. You can see the smiles on the faces. The crowd are happy. And generally, the vibe in the team seems to be very, very positive. Much changed from a few weeks ago. What a difference a victory makes.
Oh, absolutely. Now they're on a high. They know they've got a good chance to have a strong position to finish off in the league.
We're going to go for a commercial break, but don't go away. We'll be right back here live on Fox Sports from MABA Stadium.